Hello, hello. Thank you for joining me tonight. I am running a little bit late. Definitely had some problems with my headphones today, but I'm so thankful that you are here. Yay, I'm waiting for Lily, the Brain PT, to join me, and she'll be hopping on here because today we are talking all about community and particularly our Brain Bytes community. And I am going to be joined by Lily. I'm trying to see if you're getting on here. So Lily's going to join me and we're going to chat about our Brain Bytes community and what it is, and particularly Lily's story as a person who's a new residency grad, as a person who, is feeling in a funk and wanting to just keep getting better and growing. On here. Let's see. Yay!
Hello.
It worked. Sometimes it takes so long. I was like, where is she?
I
No, I mean, I
know.
saw you there. It just was like, waiting. So anyway, I
Hello,
love all your
everyone.
brains in the
I
background.
know. It's like the new setup.
It's so good. It's so good. Lily, this is why, like, the moment I met you and you were like the Brain PT too on Instagram, I was like, this is my person. These are my people.
Yes, brains. Yeah. I'm
uh,
missing a spinal cord though, because Dr.
oh,
Manjiri told me you're missing a spinal cord. I'm like, yes, I know. But
so
brains are my thing.
yes, they are. It's so cool. Well, thank you so much for coming to hang out,
Yeah, of
and
course.
honestly, just for being in my life. I love how we can meet people like through email, through, online
Hmm.
things, and then, be able to chat and realize like how much we have in common
I
and
know. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my
all
gosh.
of that
Yes.
stuff.
So I'm
So
so grateful to be here. It's such a pleasure to come in here in your page and just talk about what Brain Bytes has done, in my life. And yeah, so I'm so
yeah.
excited. Yeah, yeah.
I know, me too, me too. And so we're hopping on here too because twice a year we open up our community and we purposefully keep our community fairly small so we can have a lot of like
Hmm.
intimate interactions, talk about cases and things like that. So we keep
Hmm.
it small. And Lily was one of the first people to join our community a year ago, and we've had lots of fun conversations too. And she shared actually on her page last week a story that was like, oh my gosh, Lily, let's like have you on. Let's chat about what Brain Bites has meant for you, because this is why we created this community. And I don't even know, Lily, how you found Brain Bites in the first place. I don't
Yeah.
even know that story.
Yeah. So it was back when I was in residency, and I remember I had my first patient with FMD, and I did not know what this was. So I am a very curious person. So I was just like looking for articles, and like I would type on the Google box like all the symptoms that I was looking, and I would YouTube videos, and that's when I found some of your Facebook lives. And then, I went on Facebook, and then I started listening to your Facebook lives, like on my way to work. And I would just learn so much from just the Facebook lives. And then, I added your page, and I was looking that you had this community called Brain Bites. And again, I'm obsessed with brains. So I was like, oh my God, Brain Bites sounds so fun, sounds so cute. So I was just very intrigued of what Brain Bites was. And then I saw, membership and, opening the doors this day. So I was like, yes, I'm in, I'm in. And then I saw that you had like a new grad special. So of course I was like, I'm gonna be a new grad, and the biggest thing was that I'm just very like academic oriented. So I love school, I love classes, I love like, even though it sounds like horrible, but I love studying and just being like reading And I was like, this would be perfect after residency. Like, this would be the best routine for me. Just like learning more and just like putting in practice what I learned from residency. So yeah, I was like, I'm in. That's how I found out about Brain Bytes.
And I think even maybe those were some of our first emails, because I think you even emailed like, I'm a new resident grad, because that was something I did residency, right? And I remember graduating and being done and being like, what do I do? You know, feeling a little lost because, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you're used to kind of like that learning, a lot of mentoring too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so for me too, that was something like I really would love something that's like not a residency. You don't need that intensity, right? Like, and you don't need a fellowship, but you
Yeah.
need like
Yeah.
some accountability, and
Mm-hmm.
you want to, you know. And I love when you said that you were so curious, because like somebody asked me the other day, describe yourself in 3 words, and curious was the first word that came out of my mouth. I'm so stinking curious. It gets me into
Yeah.
trouble sometimes. But I love that you said that, because I think that's like our community. A lot of us are pretty curious, and we're kind of like, what about
Mm-hmm.
this? And like, can we
Right.
figure this
Right.
out? And we just kind of try to figure it out together. So
Yes. Yes.
I'm, yeah,
Uh,
I'm glad that you said that. Now, I know it's also like a leap to jump into something new like that. I'm
mhm.
curious, like, did you have any hesitations about joining? I know you were kind of like, sign me right up, but did you have
Yes.
hesitations?
So, as you know, I went to residence in California, so I come from Texas. So obviously the cost of living was very expensive there, and then coming back to Texas to a new job and just like moving back, you know, the financially I was a little like afraid because I was like, oh, I don't know if I can, you know, afford this. But like I said, I just appreciate the value of education and learning, and as long as it makes me be a better therapist, I feel like every single penny would be worth it, which was totally, you know, even as a new grad with the special that you had, it was like, oh my God, yes, because I get a discount, and yes, I get the full learning experience, you know. So the first thing was or the only thing was the financial aspect of it, which I think a lot of people consider that, you know. We let's say an example, it's like CSM, you know, you are like, oh, you know, it's like a little pricey, but then at the end you're like, oh my God, I love it, you know. So I think it's the same thing. The financial was the only thing that I was like, but yeah, it was worth it.
Yeah, and I think I'm the same way. Is like, afterward you realize like, okay, well, that inspiration, that motivation, which I know we'll talk about in a moment because that's what you shared the other day, like, you couldn't put a price tag on some of those things,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, and you know what, the thing is, like, as a new grad, as a resident, this is why we have like a special offer, because you're also, you just got like done with a year of working for like half your salary, right? And so you're
Yeah.
still kind of like digging out of that. So that's why we do a special, because we want to like support those people in those like first stages of things.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm glad that you like took the leap, and that you're
Yes.
here. You know, something else that people tell me a lot or ask a lot is like, am I going to have time for this? Or I'm in a different
Hmm.
time zone and things. And you shared the other day too, of like, you didn't always get to go live, but
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
going back through things. And so tell me a little bit about that, like how that worked for you if you can't go live to things.
Yeah, yeah. So usually Brain Bites is held, you know, this day at this time, twice a month. Um, Sometimes I would be able to join, and some other times I wouldn't, because this past year, I was just so busy planning life changes and personal things, and sometimes I wouldn't be able to make it, which is probably like 80% of the times.
Mm.
But the good thing, it's like immediately after the session or a couple hours later, even tomorrow, the recording was already there. The day after was the recording was there. So I would jump in and listen to it. I would listen to it on my way to work. Sometimes I would realize that it was much better to just look at it in the computer, because they would show videos of their patients, and it would be better for me to understand things. but the recordings were there. So literally you could access to them anytime you want. Yeah, everything is just there. If you're not able to make it, don't worry. I mean, you would lose the, the live and the comments of other people sometimes, or even like if you listen to it after, you're like, oh, I have this question and now I cannot ask. But the group is already, it's out there in there, because we have a little chat group and you can ask, I was listening to this recording and I was wondering blah blah blah. So there's many ways you can go back to the video even though you're not live. So that's how I would do it sometimes.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously you're really like dedicated and disciplined in some of this. In fact, I remember one time you emailed me, you're like, I'm looking for the video. I'm so excited to watch it. And I think it was like the day after. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't posted it yet. Let me post it for Lily.
The text you what?
I love. And, obviously you're like getting a lot out of it. And so I'm really curious, like, what have you noticed changes in your own practice, in yourself? You're coming up on a year anniversary. Yay. Like, yeah, what have you noticed for yourself after being a part of us for a year?
So many things, but I would like to start the first thing that comes to my mind, it's like, I approach things, sometimes as PTs, we keep what I call the PT blinders, like, movement and movement and movement. But then I learned through this year to consider other things like the psychosocial, the psychological status of the patient, even like their autonomic nervous system, which many times ever since I started Brain Bytes, I was like, oh my gosh, this patient is showing this signs, which I didn't know even during residency. Like in residency, never touched the autonomic nervous system ever. Here on Brain Bytes, we talk a lot about complex movement disorders, which I was not lucky enough to see in residency. So, I would just keep learning about those movement disorders. What I really like is how people would give you ideas on treatments, so I would implement them in the clinic. And then I'm sure a lot of PTs know this feeling, but it's like, oh my God, it works. And then you're like jumping in your brain, just like the implementation of techniques, of strategies, using the optimal theory. I've learned so many ways through Brain Bytes and how to use the optimal theory, the cueing, even another thing, it's using sensory augmentation techniques. And I'm obsessed with this term for the last month, how to include all your senses into your practice, proprioception, 2-point discrimination, all those things that we don't usually do if we didn't know about this or how to use this, So I guess the PT blinders went from here to opening up the whole view in so many different ways. And another thing, I know it's a lot of things, but another thing is the pie chart. So people, they promote the pie charts, which is this is your patient, and these are the little pieces that could be playing a role in your patient's impairment. So just thinking about each of those things instead of just muscles or range of motion or this and this, you appreciate the whole person. And this is something that, again, I did not use this or I don't want to say use this, but I did not appreciate that much during residency. So you keep learning. And for those who haven't done residency, I'm just giving you this example because I did the residency, but this Brain Bytes is just literally learning expert treatment, how to really treat neuro patients, the most complex. So I love it. I just love it. Yeah.
I'm so glad. Those are all of the things that's this is why we created this community. So to hear how it's changed or widened your lens a little bit, that is amazing. Now, something that you shared last week that really struck me, and you hadn't shared this, with me before either, and you shared it on your Instagram too, of just getting, in a bit of a funk, and we've all been there, Right. Absolutely. I mean, I've probably been in a funk at least once a year of just feeling a little less motivated or inspired or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And you shared a little bit. And to me, I was like, I didn't know this. So it was kind of a neat story of how Brain Bites helped with that. So if
Mhm.
you don't mind sharing a little bit of that.
Sure. So, for those of you who don't know about this story, it's on my page. But basically, after some pretty huge life changes, I was just like in a funk. At work, I would just go to work to just work. I was not inspired. I work at an inpatient rehab, so I don't see neuro all the time. So sometimes it would be like, like, oh, okay, I have a stroke. Okay, I'll have fun. But then if I don't, it's like, but then the same thing over and over again. So it was just very repetitive. I was in a funk. I was not motivated, uninspired. I would always listen to podcasts on my way to work, and I was just like listening to like fitness podcasts, like podcasts nothing to do with what I usually listen to before. So then I was like, maybe I should just start listening to the Brain Bytes recordings and look at the handouts that they offer. So I remember the day that I logged in at work when I had like a break between patients, and I saw the handouts, and then I was like, oh my God, like literally I'm gonna start listening like if I'm studying. I know I'm just crazy because I love studying. But then I would listen to them during, my drive to work, and I don't promote distracted driving, but that's better than doing anything else. And that's how I just, I love, instead of music, I just love listening to something that I'm actually like learning from. And then I would get to work and use what I would learn. And then the next day would be like the morning, I would be so excited to listen to them again. So it was like my routine before work and after work. So then I just started to feel like more like inspired and to get back on track, because even I wasn't posting on the page. I was like, what do I post about? Like, I don't want to like read articles and like post about them. Like, I'm just not inspired. So yeah, that was for like a couple of days that I just listened to the podcast and went over them again. I was looking at the Slack community, which we can talk in another time because it's like a lot of things we want to talk about, but pretty much it's a chat where we just exchange ideas. And I was like printing all the articles they would recommend, the handouts. So I was like, oh my gosh, I just love it. So pretty much Brain Bytes just helped me get back to my like inspiration mode, like motivation, and implementing those things they would talk about in the clinic, seeing like, oh my gosh, it works. And I even like I was listening to the ataxia one, and I'm even planning an in-service on ataxia. So I was like really inspired. So
That's
yeah, I mean,
awesome.
sometimes just getting into a community or finding someone who loves what you do and exchange ideas can like spark your interest so quickly after just being like, like, ugh,
Mhm.
work again,
Yeah,
So that's why I
no.
really appreciate it. And this is something we all go through. We're not always inspired, so it's okay to like tell others like, hey, what do you recommend when I'm feeling like,
Yeah,
So that's what Brain
yeah.
Bites did to me. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, and I like right right now for me and my family, we have a family member in the hospital. It's been really, really like stressful. And even for me, having like a community, my own clinic, and like our Brain Bites community, it keeps me going when
Hmm.
I'm, kind of like struggling, even personally, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, somebody commented here as you were chatting, another neuro resident, yay. I'm a
Yay.
neuro resident currently, and this sounds amazing. How do I join this community? And beyond brain PT, another brain PT, woohoo,
Yay.
says it opens up Friday. And you can get on the wait list and get an email when it's open. We have a link in our bio as
Mhm.
well. We are opening to a small group, so we're going to open to our wait list first, and that is actually tomorrow, literally tomorrow. And uh, Lily actually has a discount code on
Yes, Jamie.
that's
Hello,
10%
congrats.
off, and you can get in on the wait list with her code too. So if you go to her link, there is a code in there,
Yes.
and you can get 10% off
Mm-hmm.
of it. But yes, it is a really amazing community, and not
Mm-hmm.
just for neuro residents, but we have a lot of really
Everyone. Yeah.
experienced PTs too, which is cool. And you talk to like just connecting with other professionals.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wonder if you could tell me about that.
Yeah. So here's where I can talk about the Slack community.
Okay. I
So,
love our Slack
I
community.
know, me too. And I'm not that active, but I'm like reading. It's like, just being like nosy and be like, oh my God, I love what they're talking about. But it's pretty much a chat, like an app. I use it on my phone, but it's like yeah, like a chat where we all talk about, questions we have, cases that, let's say I saw someone in the clinic with this problem and I really want some feedback. I post it there. I can post videos. I can post like documents so they can, like, let's say, read the eval, or maybe you type it on a Word doc and submit it, and then everyone just talks and talks and replies. So here, you can direct message people. So that's how I would like contact others. Others would contact me, like asking me about like even like NCS questions. Last time I commented, it was like asking people for like resources on ALS, and Julie sent me some articles. So like just connecting with all Brain Bytes members. And the good thing is that, like Julie said, it's a very small community, so you're not overwhelmed with like, who's this person? Like, you literally recognize who the person is. So that's a benefit, because you get familiar with their names, and then you're like, aha, she's the ALS expert, or she's the Parkinson's expert. So then you start recognizing that, and that's how you create those networks. And even during the lives, people can direct message you. And I've had a one time that someone was like, hey, like, if you have more questions, just email me. I know a lot about like vision therapy. So yeah, that's how you can just like start connecting and building your resource of people. So I highly recommend for anyone who also wants that. This is something Brain Bytes offers as well as a freebie, networking with people.
And our
Yeah.
community like happens to be this like kind of amazingly like generous giving community, and so I know who reached out to you, Lily, because like they're so generous. And this is a total side note, by the way, but I just got out of a meeting working with our team on an interdisciplinary like intensive with somebody who has a functional neurologic disorder, and they're there because of a scholarship, which the scholarships are actually provided through Brain Bytes. So
Yes.
like, just think of generosity. We give 50% of our Brain Bytes proceeds to a nonprofit that can provide access to care for people with neurologic disorders. And so it's like every day I feel like I get to see that generosity in so many different ways. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's pretty amazing group of people.
yeah.
And I know, like, because you and I are both like lovers of tables and
Yes.
cheat sheets and handouts. Like, by
Yes.
the way, like, you should, if you're not already, you should follow the Brain PT, because she makes so many like really great like summarize things, break it down, make it simple. A girl after my own heart. So you need to follow her. And see what she has too, because it's great. But tell me about some of the other pieces of Brain Bytes. Like, you talked about the live sessions, the recordings, the Slack. I mean, I know you've talked about a lot of things already, but what are some of your favorite parts of the community?
So besides the live gatherings, right? But sometimes I cannot attend, so the recordings. I love, like you said, all the resources, like the handouts, the cheat sheets, the treatment sheets, the like pocket guides, the even like videos on like how to explain FMD to a patient. Like, they literally have a video like that. And they have the like, if you're planning to open up a clinic, like 101 business, which I was listening to it the other time. So that's one thing. And then I love the advanced courses. So the advanced courses are part of the fellowship, the Movement Disorders Fellowship. And you, as a member of Brain Bytes, you can have access to those advanced courses. And they're like freezing of gait, PD and posture, ataxia, FMD, like very like specific courses. And you have access to all of that. And I love them. Like the ataxia, I love cerebellum. So I love the ataxia one. That's the one I was inspired. I'm like, I have to give an in-service.
Yes.
But that, and then I love the office hours that you guys have, because, and I say you because sometimes I'm not able to make it, so I listen to it later. But I just love because we can literally come up with a case, any case that's relevant to that month's topic, and we just talk about the case. And everyone gives ideas, and it's just like raining of like ideas for your patient's case. And I love that because there's so many minds working together for that case, and you're like overwhelmed with all these ideas. So those are a few of my favorite things that we, yeah.
Just a few. No, I love that. And I, when we started, we've been doing these our fellowship courses for like 5 years. That's actually kind of where this started. Is we would have a course, and then people would like email questions or like send me videos of their patients, and I was like, we should like do more outside of this course. And that was like 3 or 4 years ago. And so it kind of just blossomed naturally, because that's where like that real application comes, right? It's like you go to a course, but then you like do it, and then you have questions, and then you're like, but wait, how
Yeah.
about this? And my person kind of presented differently, like then you presented in the course. And so I love the like after course. So this is like after course all of the time, plus these
Yes,
courses.
yes.
So so yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I sometimes forget that those courses are even like a bonus part of Brain Bytes. Is like those are just totally free for all of our Brain Bytes members. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, Lily, but we're doing another business brainstorm session bonus. We're doing it this month for people when they join, because we have a whole group of us, and many moms, dads who are like, I'm ready for something different, and I want something flexible. And how about starting a business? We have a lot of business owners in our group. So we're getting together. We're going to like discuss some of those key pieces. I'm super excited because I always learn from the folks in our group with different business models and things like that. So that's another bonus that's happening this month in Brain Bytes.
Great.
And we're also, Mike Studer is joining us for mentoring next month.
Studer,
Beth Fisher is going to join us this quarter for
my celebrities, my
idols. My
idols
idols are coming to mentor me and the rest of us, right? So I feel so fortunate that we get to be connected to such amazing people and mentors, and that we all get to benefit from their knowledge and ideas and change more lives that way. So yeah. Any, I mean, it's very clear that you're a Brain Bytes fan.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. And I will continue to be, guys. We'll see you there next year. Okay, I'll be there because I'm just obsessed. And I want to mention, I have been member of other PT, like neuro PT communities, but nothing feels like Brain Bytes. Like the other group, it just feels very overwhelming. There's too many people. Like if you comment, like they would never get to your questions sometimes. So it's just like, so I've tried others, but nothing feels like Brain Bytes. Like literally Brain Bytes feels like you said, like your little group, like your family and judgment-free zone. Because sometimes you're intimidated by, I don't have much experience, but then literally, like it's a judgment-free zone. You can just like show, I don't know, I don't know what to do with this patient, and it'll just be like, we're all supporting you. We're all here for you, and we want the best for that patient. So we're all like thinking about, what's going on. But I love that about Brain Bytes. Yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah, that really, that speaks so much to me. I'm like, don't want to get like teary eyed because that's like, I've it's so important to me to have like a safe place for us as therapists to make mistakes
Hmm.
and feel comfortable with like admitting those mistakes and
Hmm.
trying to like figure things out together and be with people like in every setting at every stage of their career. And like
Hmm.
you need that safe space, and it can be hard
Hmm.
to create that. And it like really, it's amazing that you feel that there, because that is so intentional on our part. and
Hmm.
and i
Hmm.
and honestly, it's because of people like you who also value that. I think our community draws in those folks that feel similarly, like want a place where they can be themselves, authentic, be vulnerable with where they're
Yeah.
struggling, and get like real like support and community. Which is what I like. When I put this up, I was like, what are we going to call this? We're going to call it the importance of community. With Lily, I was also like how Lily got her groove back, because when you first told me about kind of getting in a funk, I've
Hmm.
just been there, and I know that like sometimes it's the like these little things that help us get that groove back. So
Hmm.
this community, and honestly, like being able to form like friendships and colleagues with people
Yeah.
across the world has really, it's meant the world
Yeah.
to me. I have loved like just getting to know you,
Thank
and
you.
seeing like
Likewise.
seeing what you're doing in your job, and like maybe a teaching position, and even like all of the stuff that you share online too. So I just want to, I want to thank you for chatting with
Of
me
course.
tonight, but also
Of
just
course.
for you being you, and you being the like lover of the brain that you are, but also like just so loving this population that you're like willing to kind of put in this extra to help them help make a
Hmm.
difference in people's lives. It's truly making a difference. So thank you.
Yeah, I feel like anything that is related towards investing in your growth, in your education, and if it involves what you love, I feel the cost or it doesn't matter because at the end you look back and you appreciate everything that all the change. I look back to when I graduated from residency, and then I look back to when the therapist I was before residency, and after residency, all I had was Brain Bytes. Brain Bytes is mentorship, and I'm not the therapist I even was when I finished residency after this year of mentorship through Brain Bytes. So if you're like struggling and be like on the fence, like should I do it, should I not do it, like it's just the financial stuff, I don't have the time, just think about it's just going to be so worth it. We go to conferences, sometimes it's like $100 for like 2 days. This is like a full year of learning, and it's just the cost will never matter if you grow and you become better and your patients become better and they progress and you give them back that hope and quality of life. I feel the cost is never important, it's just numbers, but then your brain is just like growing and learning, and for me it's just amazing. So if you're thinking about a membership or a community, just consider Brain Bites. Yeah, I have just good things to say about it.
And I feel like I'm just gonna, every time I want to talk about brain bites, I'm just gonna be like, let's talk to Lily. Because you're like way better at talking about this from your personal experience than I am. So Lily, thank you so much
Of
for
course.
joining me tonight. I'll remind
Yeah.
people, join our wait list if this sounds like something for you. Join, and by the way, it's not for everybody. Not everybody's a Lily. Not everybody wants to dig
No.
into complex cases and dive really deep into the brain, right? Like it's not for everybody, but if this is for you, our wait list opens tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're on the wait list, you can join that link in the bio. Lily has a discount code for you as well on her
On my
bio, right? You
the
have a link
link
in
in
your
the
bio.
bio, you click
Yep.
there and then you'll see the code, and it just takes you right straight to the page where you join the wait list. So it's super easy. And then the code, it's obviously the Brain PT
The Brain
for
PT, of
10%.
course.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lily.
Of
Again,
course.
I'm excited to see you this month in our live sessions, and
Yes.
we'll talk soon.
Yes. Thank you so much, guys.
All
Thank you,
right.
Julie. We'll see you soon.
Bye. See
Bye.
you.